Good morning. How is everybody? We're just getting started here, and I'm going to just do a sound check and make sure you can see me and hear me all right. Welcome to the month of May. It is May 2nd, and here we are in the middle of a cold snap. It's beautiful and sunny outside, but it's pretty chilly. So I will get out later today. It's a really busy day, I think, for everybody. So if you have time to join me for a little while, that's awesome. So I'm going to do a little bit of, I'm not quite as prepared as I wanted to be for this. So I still need to do some cutting for the project that I was going to work on today. And so I'm going to bring you around to my cutting table so that I can get a little bit of that done. And then I will be ready to start sewing. And I can also then show you a little bit of the project that I'm working on. So I want to see if I can kind of bring you around here to what I'm cutting and what I'm working on, and then I'll come back over to the sewing machine. So let me get this unplugged and carry you around here. Haven't done that before. I'm sorry if I'm just, like I said, a little less prepared than I would have liked to have been for today, but we're going to work with it. So this is the project that I am working on. Let me get out of the way. This way, this way, this way, maybe this way. So I am working on the project called Succulent Garden. And as you can see, I only have a little bit left to do. Well, actually, there's still quite a bit to do on it. But I need to cut some more strips for those last couple of pieces. So let's see. Do you want to see me cutting these strips? I don't know if I can get a good angle for this. Maybe that'll work. So without being able to give the exact dimensions, I've got my fabric here on my cutting mat. And I'm going to give myself a clean edge. And I need to cut, let's see, I need to cut 3 strips to make 3 strip sets in order to get all the pieces that I need. And so what you're going to see me do here is after I trimmed off that edge, I do not want to pick up and move the fabric. So I swivel my mat around. I do not use the lines on the mat to do my cutting. I disregard those and check my measurement twice. And I walk my hand up. There's 2 strips. I need 1 more. And I need 4 fabrics for each of my strip sets. So this is the second one. So I've got those cut, and I need to keep those in the right order. So the fabric that I'm using for this is this really gorgeous Kaffe times Morris. Came out, I think, at least a year ago. And I bought the kit during the shop hop last year, the Indiana Shop Hop. Hold on just a second. I'm going to get this light pictured better here. Is that better? You get a little bit better light for that. So last year in May and June was the Indiana Shop Hop through a company called Shop Hop Inc. And I had a lot of fun going around to all 53 stores that decided to participate in it. This year, there are going to be 60 some odd stores, a bunch more stores. And so I am not going to go to all of the stores this year, not by a long shot. I might do a few. I might go out for a day or two because it was really, really fun. Gives you a chance to see what's new. And I bought this kit at one of the shops. I don't even know that they have it anymore. And so about a month ago, when I went to retreat, I decided that this was going to be the main project that I worked on. And I'm so glad I did, because it's one of several kits that I have that I haven't made. And one of the things that I really wanted to do this year was to work on some of those kits that have just been sitting and sitting and sitting. So this one was probably one of my most recent additions to buying a kit. And so I'm just really happy that I got to it within the first year that I owned it. So yay. So I just need to cut a few more strips, and it is still available. I did just recently kind of restock and buy some more pieces of these fabrics because I kind of changed my mind for the color palette a little bit. I was going to take out some of these darker ones because I really wanted some lighter blocks in it. So this strip set is going to be these 4 fabrics are going to be in this strip set. And I have one more to cut, and then I'll get over back to the sewing machine. So tell me what you are working on today. Have you got something going on? Are you maybe doing some binding, what kind of things? What kind of things are you doing? I would like to know. Let's see. Oh, that's not the same color. That's not the one I want. So when I cut up the original batch of fabrics that I had for this quilt, I knew I hadn't gotten everything in the line, and so that's why I went back and I ordered some more of the other ones that I didn't have. So let's see. I want more of this one, and if I can look over at my design wall, you end up with this. Oh, it's about a 6-inch, about a 6-inch strip left over from each of the half yards. And you do use some of it later, but since I'm cutting some more strips, I want to use up, I kept them in batches. I'm not sure I needed to, but I did keep them in batches in case I needed to recreate something. So I want to use up these pieces first before I cut into my new piece that I bought. And I don't know, I don't have specific plans yet for the rest of these fabrics. But I just knew that I wanted to get them before they were all gone. So I don't really like these, having to tear these bags open so badly. But that's the way it is. So I think I'm going to end up with enough fabric for this one big quilt. The one that I'm working on is going to be queen size. And if I end up with a whole bunch of these little, like this is almost a 2-inch strip, those are going to be luscious to use for something. I don't know what yet, but I will either be able to save them for future projects or have fun putting them into something. But I really, really love this fabric. So I am going to be saving every last little scrap of it. And I don't think I need that bag either. Let's get rid of some of that stuff. So let's see here. So just a couple more strips to cut, and then I can get back over where I can chat with you a little better. But it would be a really great thing to be able to do, to be able to get this last strip set done. Why is this all of a sudden acting up, huh? Must be time to change the blade. I will do that later today. It is, since it's the beginning of May, beginning of a new month, I will say that if you haven't changed if you don't remember the last time that you changed your sewing machine needle, this would be a good time to do it. So here we go. I've got all of my strips, and if you're just joining me, I will show you what I'm cutting strips for. I hope to not make you too dizzy. I am, how did I stand before? Like this. So I am making a quilt called Succulent Garden, and they are big, supersized hexagons. And I did bring one over. Let's see. You can see. All right. Get this plugged back in again. I am working on my setup. It's just been kind of busy around here. So I just really haven't had a chance to improve this whole setup yet. But I am going to be working on it. Because one of the things that I wanted to be able to do is I really wanted you to be able to see my sewing machine better. And so that you could see me feed fabric through, because I did want to do something with leaders and enders, and I can't really show you the leaders and enders if you can't see the sewing machine. So I am I'm working on that. It's a process, isn't it? So this is half of a hexagon, right? So from my strip sets, I get enough of these pieces to make 2 full hexagons. So one would be, let's say, with one fabric on the outside, and then the second hexagon is the opposite, meaning the one that's in the center will be on the outside. because you cut them and you turn the template. Here, I have the template. Hold on. It's right here. So can you see that? So it's a really big template, and you don't have to have the template in order to make the quilt, but I just feel like it made things so much easier to have a plastic template versus a paper template or cardboard template, because I was making a big quilt. I suppose if I was making the baby one, maybe I would not worry about it so much, and maybe I would have just gone with it and used a paper template. But in this case, I did buy the full one, and it was $25. So, but I think it's going to be worth it for the accuracy that you get from using the template. If I get to where I get these strip sets, at least one of them sewn, I will get it pressed, and I will show you how I cut that, because I think that's really good for you to see too. If you're not familiar with doing templates, maybe later on I will get to where that template is ready to be, or those strip sets are ready to be cut. So and I have a couple of other things to show you and to share with you, and we'll get to all of those in a little while. So, back to the beginning, I just want to welcome you here. My name is Stephanie, and I am the Everyday Sewist. I really do try to sew every day. It's been a little bit of a struggle lately, but I usually try to get down here for just a little while. Yesterday, I spent maybe 15 minutes cutting up some scraps, and at least I got these little guys done. This is for another project. But I really truly believe that 5 minutes matters, 10 minutes matters, 15 minutes matters. And so if all I got done, it wasn't all that I got done, but I I know I've talked about my scrap situation before. And so if I can at least get these little buggers, some of these guys, all cut and ready, then they will go into my, let's see if I can put this over here. They will go into these columns that I'm going to be working on these for a good long time. You'll probably see these through this whole year before I get this quilt done, and I'm all right with that. You know what? I'm going to change my lighting a little bit because it feels like I'm still working in the dark a little bit. Hold on just a second while I go move this around and see if that'll help. I'm here. I moved some of the lights around in order to show you the cutting, and so maybe that's just a little bit better. So it's actually, I feel like my room has pretty decent light. I have a window that's straight in front of me here. The sun doesn't come around until till maybe noonish. But then I get a lot of afternoon light in here, and this is the morning. So I don't get a lot of light until later in the day. I have put in some ceiling lights. You can see a couple of those ceiling lights, and those are nice and bright. And I could still use more. I'm sure I could still use more lights, especially, like I said, especially for uh, doing the live streams. So that is something that I'm working on. And anyway, if you're coming back to spend a little time with me, I'm glad you can do that. I appreciate you coming in and uh, sitting with me a little bit, and hopefully you've got something that you are working on. And if not, if you're out and about and doing other things, and I'm keeping you company with that, that's fine too. So uh, it's morning where I am, and so I've still got my cup of coffee that I'm working on here. Um, I am a decaf coffee drinker, so it's not that I need the caffeine or anything like that. I just like my warm drink in the morning. And I like tea, but I've never done been a tea drinker in the morning. It's more for afternoon. So anyway, so I have a couple of projects that I'm working on, and now I have this last set of strips cut for my hexagons. And if I get that done, I also have, like I said, I have my leaders, enders, and I was really hoping to make one of my string blocks today. I have my paper ready, but I haven't laid out any of my I haven't laid out the next set of strips. So, but I can show you one of my great big string blocks because I really like those. I'm into big blocks these days. So I've shown these blocks maybe in the last 2 episodes, perhaps. It's a fairly recent start for me. I started maybe a month ago or so, maybe a little more than that. And so here's my most recent one. These finish at 16 inches. And here's another one. And I have 13 blocks done so far. Ideally, I will get up to 30 blocks, but one of my goals in this was, I mean, can you see these are mostly 30s prints? Mostly, not entirely. But I found in one of my drawers, I could swing you around and show you the other side of this room here. Would you like to see that? Oh, good morning, Nancy. So my scrap project is the string blocks. And so, and then actually I guess I have a couple of scrap. This is all scrap too. This is definitely a scrap project. And I've shown you these before as well. So I'll just remind you. So these prints colors are cut 1.5 by 2.5 inches, and the low volume squares are cut at 2.5-inch square. So it's 2.5-inch squares and 1.5 by 2.5. And so that's a long-term project. So my main focus right now is on these strips that I need for succulent garden. And I started succulent garden early April. I actually no, when did I go on retreat? The weekend that I went on retreat in April is when I started it. And it was great because I had not even pressed it. I hadn't even opened the kit. And in the 2 days that I was there, I got the majority of the blocks cut, sewn, pressed, and brought them back and put them up on the design wall. So, and then it's kind of sat for the last 2 weeks. So I really wanted to get back to that. Okay, so string blocks. We get this newspaper sent in our mailboxes. It's a community newspaper, and I tape my pieces together and then draw diagonal lines on it. And you see that I don't even know that you can see the diagonal lines because it's pretty faint. But I draw the diagonal lines in both directions because the way I do my string piecing, and I still haven't gotten this up as a video, is that I only sew through the paper on the very first seam. So that means that after I tear that paper off, I can use another piece of tape or two, tape that square back together and use it again. And I could get 3 or 4 uses out of this. Does it really matter? It's just newsprint. But yeah, so I do, if I can, I'll get a couple of uses out of it before I throw the paper away. So I don't know that I'll get to that today, because what I like to do is I like to lay out all my strips ahead of time and get all of that decision making done. I find that when I have to stop and pick out a new fabric after every seam that I sew, that it just sort of slows me down. It doesn't work for me to sit and then pick out another one and stop and pick out another one and stop. So I arrange them all in pretty much the order that I want. And then I can stack them up and by my machine and just sew without having to think about what goes next. And so that's kind of the way I like to do the string piecing. Otherwise, it just seems like too much decision making, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to be thinking on after every single seam. I want to get as many decisions made as possible. And that's kind of the way these are being done too. I suppose you could sew strip after strip after strip and do it randomly, but I'm not. So let me get my machine set up here. What I was going to show you, so you can, I guess in an earlier view, you could see that I have a long arm here. Which way is it? Right there, right behind me is my long arm. And so I often end up with extra thread on these bobbins. And in order to not have too many bobbins with just a little bit on it, I will use that and I will sew off those bobbins while I'm working on something like this that's kind of multicolored anyway. And it helps keep those bobbins from getting, like I said, from having too many bobbins that are only barely full. So I'm going to use up one of those today. And I wound another one from the big bobbin onto my machine bobbin, so I'm getting to use that one also. And let's get stitching. The sewing on this project, these hexagons, has been so enjoyable, so fun, and I mean, so easy. Aside from keeping a 1/4 inch seam, the strips are wide enough that if you're off a teeny tiny bit, I feel like it's pretty forgiving. And if you don't have a good 1/4 inch seam, this would be the time to perhaps work on a 1/4 inch, getting your 1/4 inch seam down a little bit better. But I'll just kind of race along here and feed that fabric through. Do you need a little better view? Maybe I could bring this down. How about that? Does that help a little bit? Is this a better view? Let me know if you like a view that's up closer to my machine or not. Like I said, I'm going to be working on my setup a little bit because it's hard to get the sewing machine into the picture as well as me. And I watch other videos too to see if I can improve that. So today is May 2nd. Anybody follow the Kentucky Derby? Anybody interested in the Derby? Do you watch? Do you not watch? I know I am going to try to watch it this afternoon, and I think it's pretty exciting. Without getting into the politics of it, I won't go there. But I do think I will watch. But beyond that, I'm not particularly a knowledgeable or anything like that. So I just think that horses are beautiful. So I watch it from the standpoint that they're just gorgeous to watch. So I also follow on Facebook. I follow an organization called Sky Dog Sanctuary, and they are an amazing rescue organization and also give a lot of information about what's happening with the horse population in the United States. And so if you're interested in that at all, they have a public Facebook page. And I guess they have a couple of ranches, a couple of different facilities and I enjoy watching that from time to time. So it's Derby Day. I've never bought a Derby hat. I've never gone to the Derby. But we live only a few hours away, so it would be quite possible to do that. But we never have. Other things that are going on, our farmers market just started up again. I love our farmers market, and so this is the first day of the farmers market here. I won't get to go today, but I've enjoyed walking around that many times. And they have a pretty nice variety of products to look at and enjoy. There's a market, a different kind of market going on in the town next door to us. So all of the spring events, everybody's very excited, I think, for spring. All of these events are starting up. I think there's a race too. I think there's a marathon of some type going on near us. So all the things. So I'm sure that if you're just popping in and out and you are busy today, then that's okay. You can always catch the live streams later. They are always up on my channel for viewing later. So you can go back and see the other ones if you wanted to. Let's see if while I'm chatting here, I better make sure I get everything in the right order, right? So it is important when I'm doing these strip sets that they stay, each strip set comes out to be in the exact same order. So I will show you just very briefly here. Go back down a little bit. So here I am at the end of a strip set. And one of the things that you can do for a leader and ender, and why I have these here, is that if I wanted to take this piece out from my machine, I could just lift up my presser foot and pull it out and cut the thread. But then when I start the next one, I would have this long thread. Can you see it? I would have this long thread at the beginning of every seam. And when you're doing hundreds and hundreds of seams in a quilt, this amount of thread can add up to a lot of wasted thread, but it can also get in your way, and you're also having to snip it off, because I do not like having those hanging around. And as a long armor, when somebody brings me a quilt, I prefer to have all of these strings cut off, because they can just make a mess on the back, and they can show through to the top of the quilt, especially if you have a very light colored fabric. You can get those threads shadowing through and looking like a little bird's nest on the back of your quilt. And that just doesn't look nice. So my preference is to use a leader ender. And so I just thought I'd show you how that works. So that's why I always keep a scrap project. So I have my little container here of neutral 2.5-inch squares in this case. And I will take one of these cute little pieces that I just cut yesterday that are kind of brand new. And all I'm going to do is go from one seam to the next seam. Okay. And then I can cut this off from behind. So now this piece is freed up, and I could take it to the ironing board. I could do whatever else I needed to do with that and go on to my next one. So this piece that I just sewed stays there. And look at that. I don't want that. Okay. And I can go on to sewing my next seam. So now it was an ender, and now it's become a leader. And it keeps those threads from getting tangled underneath, or so that you don't have to hold on to those threads at the beginning of a seam. And now I can sew this next one. So I'll keep sewing this, and then I can show you that again when I get to the end of this one. I don't use one after every seam. I only use the leader ender when I need to take what's under what I'm sewing on, when I need to take it out from under the presser foot and do something with it, whether it's pressing it, adding another piece to it, or whatever. And so if I have 100 triangles, half square triangles to sew, I might just break those up into groups of 10 or 12 or 20 or fours or whatever quantity I need. And in between every set of those half square triangles, let's say, that I'm sewing, then I can use another leader ender to separate those into groups. So it can help to keep your work organized and keep your count of what you've done. So if you do have to make 100 of something and you use a leader ender for every 10, you don't have to go back and recount and recount and recount. You've got your groups of 10s, and makes it much easier to keep track of what you're sewing. So there are several uses for leader and enders. And then, of course, the end result is that you actually have some pieces that you can use in a quilt. So in my case, I am doing these long columns, but another really good one to do would be to just sew, let's say, cut a whole bunch of 2-inch squares and sew groups of 2-inch squares together into pairs. And when you get a whole lot of pairs together, you can make 4 patches. And those 4 patches can be something, anything that you want them to be. And if I ever get this one done, I think that's my next one that I want to do. I've been really wanting to make I guess I would be doing a 16 patch. I like 9 patches too. But I was thinking about doing a 16 patch so that I could do, what would it be called? I just sew the 16 patches together without any sashing and just have uh, a quilt just made entirely of 2-inch squares with like a print and a light, a color and a light, and a color and a light, and cut up all my scraps into that. So I have not had very much time to work on my scraps, but oh, so the new color for the month is orange. And so so far in January, I looked through my blue scraps. In February, I worked on my green scraps. And March was red, April was pink, and May is orange. And so I have not pulled out my orange scraps yet. I don't know how many I have. I don't have a lot of orange. So I may actually, I really may not have a lot of that to deal with. And did I get through all of those scraps each month? No, not by a long shot. As a matter of fact, if you watched my last episode, you will see that I was offering to send out some scraps to people who wanted them. And you have to email me in order to get some scraps. I still have a list that I'm working through. I've sent out a few little packages, And really, when I say a little package, I mean a little tiny package. Here, I'll show you one because I have one ready to go out today. Okay, so we're going to spread a little joy and we're going to spread a little oh, I love that. Your 2-inch squares and she called it a headache. Oh, that's so funny. So, should I rethink that? Is that what you're telling me? I need to rethink my idea of doing a quilt with 2-inch squares? I could. But I have so many scraps. So, Pat, if you're watching, uh, this is what I've got. I've got this little tiny bag, and this weighs about 4 or 5 ounces. So, it's just a little handful. And I will get the label printed, and hopefully these will all fit in here. I think it will. And yeah, I can make these fit. But I have used these scraps over and over and over again. And so I am, okay. All right. Well, I haven't even started it yet. I haven't started my 2-inch squares. I know I have a drawer with 2-inch squares. So that's one reason to work on that, is because I already have quite a good stack of 2-inch squares. And I actually started one with 1-inch, 1.5-inch cut squares, and I think that's too tiny for me. I have not done anything with those. Yeah, a headache? No, just I don't know, just too small. But anyway, so Pat is going to get this little package of scraps that I am done with, and these are small pieces. So for me, all right, question of the day, what size piece of fabric for you is a scrap? Is a fat quarter a scrap and you only work with bigger pieces than that? Well, for me, these are scraps. These are pretty small pieces. Probably the smallest would be like that you could cut out of this would be 1.5-inch strips, or maybe some 2.5-inch squares. But these are really small. So if you're interested in being on my list for getting a scrap bag for free, then you can email me and tell me what you're working on, what those scraps will be going into, and like what colors you're looking for. And like I said, so far I have been going through my blue, my green, my red, pink, and now orange. Those are the only colors that I've gotten to so far of my own scraps. And I have a lot of fabric that I am kind of tired of, and I figured that it would be new for somebody else, and it might be fun for you to have some. But do tell me kind of what you're working on so that I know how to pull appropriate stuff. And the way this started was that I showed my house quilt an episode or two ago. And the house quilt used up some scraps. It was a fun one to do for scraps. And so some of the people who wanted to make one of those asked for, let's say, fabric for the sky or for the roof or for sides of houses, or they tell me sort of what colors they were lacking so that I could pull out the right stuff for them. So I'm keeping a list and I'm working through it really slowly. And if you want to be on the list to get some a little baggie, fun baggie of scraps in the mail, then you'll just have to email me and I'll get you down on the list and I'll work through it eventually. So, if you do like that, like I said, it's free. I've had a couple of people who have said that they would love to help with postage or shipping. And so I did set up on my YouTube channel, I set up a link for Buy Me a Coffee. So if you want to contribute to postage, you can put in any amount you want. There's no minimum. They will make suggestions as to what you put in for Buy Me a Coffee. You can ignore that completely. You can do a one-time contribution for postage or for the Buy Me a Coffee. You do not have to be a continuing contributor. None of that they tell you is true. You can just do a one-time, and so if you want to, you're welcome to, but you certainly don't have to. And so, like I said, I send out the little baggies when I have a chance. And yesterday I got to putting one of the baggies together for Pat, and those will go out in the mail later today. And the reason you need to email me is because I need your mailing address. So if you're comfortable sending me your mailing address, that's fine. And if it's entirely up to you. So, but just something to get a little fun stuff in the mail. Oh, and if you're a newer quilter or experienced quilter, that could, if you think that makes a difference in terms of what you're looking for or colors or anything like that, that's fine too. So let me get back to finishing up this one seam here. And yes, I probably could have cut up some of those scraps into my own scrap quilt, but it seems more fun to give some of that stuff away. And I have loads and loads of fabric, and more. It just will take. I just don't have the time, I guess, or something. I don't know. More fun to give it away. All right, so here I am again. Let me angle this down. I am at the very end of this one long seam, and I want to take it out from the machine. And so I have my two pieces that I'm going to sew together. And now I can snip this off from behind so that I don't have a thread. And here's the other one that I sewed before. So I can snip that off and put that into my pile over here. And now I have these three done. And this piece just stays here until the next time I want to put something through the machine. It does not have to be right now. I could even leave my machine this way and have it ready for when I start sewing the next time. And it, like I said, it saves on thread. I still keep sometimes, well, I guess not right now. Sometimes I still have one of those other little, what do they call them? Spiders or something like that, where you're not actually making anything. And so that's why I said, so next time, maybe I will do the 2-inch squares. And, okay, so the Scrappy Bee, if you have a picture of your sister's quilt made with the 2-inch squares, I would love to see it. And if you email me at theeverydaysewist@gmail.com and send me a picture, I would really enjoy seeing that. Or if she has a social media page somewhere and you want to send me a link to that or put that in, that would be really great. I would love to see that because that kind of what I am heading towards next. Oh, you're right. It can make a nice memory quilt. Yeah, it if I using all those 2-inch squares. And I know that this will all be new fabric for somebody. So but I'm ready to let go of some of those fabrics. And a lot of these I actually I don't know. I mean, I've bought most of my yardage, and I can't say that a lot of these have particular memories for me. Uh, I'm just trying to use up my fabric. So, okay. So under 12-inch square is too small to keep. Okay. So that would mean though that let's say you're not really a fan of layer cakes or charm packs. Is that true? Um just asking. A lot of people, I mean I do have some layer cakes and charm packs. I do. I have a good I have I am well supplied in in charm packs and layer cakes, and that's why when you add the scraps to it and the yardage and the fat quarters and the kits and all those things, it's just a little overwhelming. So that's why I'm just having fun sharing some of these and giving some of these scraps some new homes. But you would not be able to cut a charm square, I don't think, out of any of the pieces that I'm giving away. So if the charm square is the uh, smallest piece you would keep, for instance, you probably would not be interested in having any of my scraps. Okay, on we go. Get some more of these done. All right, so Mother's Day is coming up. What do you do for Mother's Day? Are you celebrating in any way? Is there I I bring it up not so much because I don't really uh do a lot for myself for Mother's Day, but my mother will still be here probably with us through Mother's Day. And my mother is 96. So I'm going to count myself extremely blessed and lucky to still have my mother in my life. So I'm not sure that how we will celebrate, but we'll do something fun. And that's one of the reasons why I really haven't gotten quite as much sewing done lately. I Most of the sewing that I've gotten done lately was because I went on the retreat, and things have kind of sat since then. So at this point, um, I'd say she needs some help, but she does not need any kind of nursing or aid like help. And so she can do enough for herself that we can take care of her meals and her other needs. And so she's living with us part time, and then she will also spend time with my brother. And so right now it's our turn, and she is here with us for a few weeks. So that, but it has it has affected how much time I get to spend sewing. And so it is nice for me to have these couple of hours here to sit and sew a little bit and chat with all of you. Okay. So, oh, so you do like layer cakes. Okay. Yes. Yes. I have way too much of a stash too. Uh, and so I think last year I found some really fun, cute little like table runner sized patterns to use, and use some of a couple of charm packs. But this year I was hoping to make up a couple of my kits that I've had for a long time. And so this is the first one that I've pulled out. I also have a ton of UFOs, but I will say that once I get a quilt to being a top, it gets done. I have one that I'm going to show you. I could show you that now. I have two that need borders. One is going to get a pieced border, and the other one is going to get a couple rounds of solid, just unpieced borders on it. And so the one project I finished most of the top about a month ago, and it's in flannels. And as soon as the weather got a little warmer, I really didn't want to work on my flannels quite so much. And I needed to do a bit of cutting to do that pieced border. So I haven't gotten around to that. The other one, I just finished the top like a week or two ago. At least the inside of the top. And so that one needs to get its borders. And then here, let me get this one out of the machine. I'm just taking advantage of these little stops and starts to get these done. I do not really need to use a leader ender right now. I just want to, because it will advance this other little quilt for me just 10 at a time, if I just get a few of these done at a time. Okay. Ready for a little show and tell? Okay. Let's see. Yes, I am a long armor also. I've been long arming for about over 15 years. It used to be, I wouldn't say full time. I always had another job as well as my long arming, so it was never a full time for me. And now I consider myself retired, and I wanted to try the whole YouTube experience, and I am still long arming for people, but on a much more smaller scale than I used to. Because when I stopped doing it for a little while, I missed it. I really, but so I do 99% of all of my quilting is on pantographs. So I am not a custom quilter. I do not do free motion. Rarely do I do free motion, and if I do, I usually do it on my own projects. And that's just me. That's just the way I do it. So, and I do love seeing, that's part of the fun of being a long armor, is seeing what everybody brings to you and what projects people are working on and talking with them about their projects. So that's definitely one of the, for me, one of the fun parts about being a long armor. And I love getting it back to them and letting them see it in that, at that next stage, where it's almost ready to be used and loved and shared and all of that. So yeah, so my reason for long arming is because the quilts that I make are quilts to be used, whether it's as a wall hanging or on a bed or on a couch. But I typically go for things that are made to be used. And so for me, for what the kind of quilts that I make, I'm fine with pantographs, which is those edge-to-edge designs. And it lets me get that part done and move on to the next part of the piecing, because I like piecing, and I want to spend my time piecing more than I want to spend my time quilting, if that makes sense. So it's all, yep, whatever, yeah, all kinds of reasons for doing it the way we do it. So anyway, let me get you. So nobody else has seen this quilt at this point yet. This is my Bonnie Hunter mystery quilt that was started in December last year. She actually had posted information before that, but I didn't get to start on it until December. And I now, my last Instagram post, I showed it as a finished top. And you will be the first ones to see it quilted. And at this point, I have the binding sewn onto the front, and I need to stitch the binding down to the back and I'm doing it by hand. So without further ado, let me get my mystery quilt. It's too big to get into the frame. Let's see. I'll take a few steps back. So you're getting to see most of it. And I will bring it up close for you as well. So it was made of 2 blocks. And so there's this one block, and then the alternate block over here, alternate block here. It had these flying geese borders were done together. And what I did, this is the end of the quilt if you bought the pattern. I added another border, little pink border here, and a larger outer border. And I quilted it with a design called Serenade. Can you see it? I'm not sure how well you can see it. I'll try to get an angle. And the back of the quilt, I used one of my favorite cave prints called Millefiori. And so there's the back. Don't know how well you can see that. And so this quilt ended up being 96 by 96. And so I am just really, really, really happy with it. Thank you. I do enjoy her mysteries. I don't do mysteries from other people, but if you had recommendations of people that you've done their mystery quilts that you like them, I would be happy to hear it. I have made several of Bonnie's mystery quilts, and they have every single one that I've done has become my favorite quilt, and they get their own special shelf on my in my quilt storage area. And I've only given away one of them. So I usually make them to keep them, and because I love them so much. It's because, as I said just a little while ago, I tend to do more simply pieced patchwork. I don't do really complicated patchwork. So her quilts are a little more intricate, and I just love them, and they're worth it to me. And I suppose maybe I should make things that are a little bit more complicated, because I really, really do. I really, really like them. So yeah, and her quilts, because they're kind of busy and scrappy, I do think a pantograph works really well with it. The color choices are the colors that she recommended when the whole design, when the whole mystery started. Those were the colors that she suggested, so I went with it. I've seen some beautiful ones done in other colors. As a matter of fact, I liked this one so much that I actually have been contemplating making it a second time in a different set of colors. Um, I don't know that I will get around to that, but I did really enjoy. I really did enjoy making it. So, um, so that is one of my finishes. Oh, I can show you my other one too. Hold on. Well, and so sorry, that's not a finish because it doesn't have the binding done yet. The other project that I started this one in January, and it was, I think it was January. And this next one is a Kawandi style piece, and it is all hand stitched. It's my second Kawandi piece that I've done. My first one was about the size of a placemat, and I use it as a placemat. I use it wherever I want to, because it's so rumpled. So it's so funny looking, because it really didn't come out terribly well. So I don't mind using it as a placemat. But I liked doing this stitching so much that I wanted to try another piece. And so on this one, I started with a backing fabric that was a yard by width of fabric. And I thought that would be a good lap size piece for me, something that not, oh yes, oh, I did En Provence. Yes. I don't remember what year that was either. Yep, I loved En Provence. That was another one that I just have fallen in love with. Loved that project. And so before I do the Kawandi, so the other thing with the Bonnie Hunter mystery is I always try to finish the current year before the next year starts. So I get motivated to finish it. Now the next one doesn't start until next Black Friday. is usually when she releases the first clue, is on Black Friday. She'll give you color information in an intro. What is it? Maybe around Halloween, somewhere around there. But the first clue doesn't come out until Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. So, and then I wasn't home then, so I didn't start this one until after I got back from my trip. So I have, every time I've started one of hers, I usually finish it sometime in the spring. And so, well, thank you. So I will be ready to do the next one for sure, since I just have the binding to go. And I don't know about you, but once I get to the binding stage, I will probably have this binding done within the next couple weeks. If I just sew on a little bit by little bit every day, I'll get the binding done. The other thing that she does in July is she gets a new leader ender challenge. So if you like the idea of doing these leader enders, but you don't want to do mine, that's okay. Of course, you don't have to do mine. Bonnie is the one who, I think that's why I first started following her, because I had, up until maybe early 2000s, I had not heard of leader enders. So it must have been somewhere around the time that maybe her first book came out. Let me get her book. Let me do that. I think I can find it really quickly. Can you bear with me for just a minute, and I'll see if I can pull it out. Let's see. Here it is. My bookshelf is just right over there under the window. So I believe that this was her very first book. And I still have the price tag on the back of it, and it was from 2013. I wonder, let's see when it was published. Published in 2009. But she will tell you, this was how I first heard about it. See, there's some 4 patches. More 4 patches. Here are some of the other quilts in the book. And so when you do leaders and enders, and she explains her whole theory about it, you can make other little quilts. You can make other quilts while you are sewing your main quilt. But they are very, very, very scrappy. So let's see. Find a good picture to show you. So here is one of her ones with 4 patches. So if you just make a whole bunch of 4 patches, then you can set them any number of different ways. And so this book is just filled with a lot of her first ideas for it. And I think she's got a total of 5 books maybe. But her website, if you go to her website, she has a lot of free patterns on there and a lot of ideas for using your leaders and enders. So if you're interested in that, I would definitely read her explanation of how to do leaders and enders. So I do machine binding sometimes too. But on this one, I will do hand binding. So there are a lot of projects that I will choose to do machine binding, but not this one. And I always like to have something to do by hand. So here is my second attempt at Kawandi style quilting. And here it is. Pretty little. Can you see? Are you getting a good view? So when I started it, I started with the blues. And then the next month of scraps, I was doing greens. And then the next month of scraps, I was doing yellows. And then I just kept going, and I decided to go in color order, round after round. And I changed thread color every time I did it. I used, what would that be? 28 weight thread, I think it was. Like a pearl cotton kind of weight, but I used Orifil and Sulky. I can show you one of those. So one of the things that I really, really loved about doing the Kawandi project was getting to play with all of my pretty thread colors. So, and I just, like I said, I changed thread color anytime I wanted to. This is 12 weight. That's what I couldn't remember what this was. So this is Sulky cotton, all cotton 12 weight thread. If you have a choice, like I really like the colors that Sulky has, but the Orifil thread was much easier to use. It didn't tangle as much. And I'm not sure why that was. I don't know if that was me or if it was the thread or whatever. But the Orifil thread in the 12 weight, also in the 12 weight, was nicer to stitch with. But I have just collected different colors of the thread, and if you kind of looked in here, I have a lot that I've not opened. And so by doing the Kawandi, I just had a blast getting to use so the way it is straight line quilting, but and the person that I learned it from was Jen Strasser. She's called the Dizzy Quilter, Dizzy, Dizzy. And the technique says that you start at the edge. Okay, you start and you go all the way around the outer edge. And you stitch just as close to the edge as you can with just a straight stitch. It's not really a quilting stitch per se, but because you stitch and then as you work your way all the way around the edge, and then you come up to the next row and you stitch again all the way around. And I spaced mine at about 1/2 inch or so apart. So yes, it looks like straight line quilting, but if you can see in the corner, it goes up and then around. And so you're going around and around and around and around until you get to the middle. So, like I said, this is my second attempt at it and using scraps, and I have some favorite scraps in here. And the backing is this, it was a leftover piece from an extra wide fabric that I had. At one point I was stitching, this shows you how bad my embroidery is. At one point I was stitching like little markers. This probably you can't, I don't know that you can even see this. So, so at the beginning of the day when I started stitching, I put like a little star shape there. And I kind of stopped doing it partway through because my little star snowflake things weren't very good. And I wasn't sure that it would really matter to me in the long run. But I did learn some things. Again, it's only my second piece. I did learn some things about it, but I'll just I'll try to explain a little bit. So I cut the pieces with scissors mostly, a little bit of rotary cutting, no set size or shape. I just looked at the scrap that I had, and you fold the edges under. I didn't use an iron. You just fold them under, finger press, and give yourself a half an inch under on all four sides, unless you are covering that edge with the next piece. So this piece went under, this piece went over. So this piece had a half an inch folded under here, but this piece also was on top of this one. So you slide this piece underneath and fold the raw edge over on this one. And you can do that all the way across, but sometimes, and then at the next round, this piece went underneath this one. And so you end up, you only fold under where you need to in order to not have a raw edge. And ideally, when you're stitching, you will try to stitch as close to the edge of that piece as you can. And you add pieces as you need to add pieces. So let's see, I think it was Brenda of Conquering Mount Scrapmore did one of these, and she did it by machine. And I think that would be really interesting to try too. So if you don't like hand stitching, I do think it's possible to do it by machine. And at some point I will definitely try that. I have at least 2 more of these pieces in mind to do. I do like hand stitching, but I'm a terrible cross stitcher. I'm not very good at embroidery or punch needle or needlepoint. I'm not. I've done very little needlepoint. I have tried it. I've done a little bit of knitting. I'm not very good at that. I have a crocheted granny squares that I made like 20 years ago, and I have not stitched those together yet. So that's another hand project that I need to do. I've done a little sashiko, just a little. I do like sashiko, and I did all right with that. But this one, I think the whole idea of it is that it's kind of rustic. It's not ever going to win any awards for the stitching. That is for certain. And it was fun to pull the fabrics for it. And I tried a couple different things in it. Like I tried using a leftover piece of a block in here. Not sure I would do that again. But this was just a theme that I went with, and I tried it, and I worked on it over the first 4 months of the year. and got it done by April 30th. So I am ready to move on to my next hand project. So I do like to have a one hand project going. My next hand project is doing the binding on the Bonnie Hunter mystery. And when I get that done, I have a repair to do on a quilt. And I'm actually going to use the Kawandi technique in order to do the repairs on that quilt. So maybe next time, maybe in the June live stream, maybe I'll be ready to work on that. And if I am, I will make myself a note to remember to bring it and show it to you and see how that works. So yeah, I do a little bit of hand sewing, and but I'm almost all machine. Let's see if I can get another one of these strip sets sewn here. Keep these going in the same order. So does anybody else do any cross stitch? If you do, and if seeing as how you're here with me, if you like and go on YouTube a lot, then if you are a cross stitcher, I would recommend that you check out two of my friends who also have a YouTube channel, and they are called, it's Carol and her daughter Jen. So tell me if you know those, if you know them. But Carol and Jen are the Two Tall Stitchers. Okay, Two Tall Stitchers. And it's great. I just saw Carol the other day. We had a really fun time out on the town together. And so they also, like I said, they live locally and we've been friends for years. And they do beautiful, well, I don't do well with cross stitch. I think their stuff is absolutely wonderful and beautiful and gorgeous and fun, and they are so talented, and yet it seems like they just do it so easily. So I would recommend checking them out. Oh, okay. Yes, you do see them. Okay. Yep. Carol and Jen are friends of mine. And we get together from time to time. And so if I ever did want to do cross stitch, I know they would help me. I know they would. Get this one going. So those are my show and tells. I don't have any other projects that are that close. Where is my other red and white one? I think it's hanging up in the closet until I get those borders. That was something else I suppose I could have been stitching today, was to start getting those borders on. But that means that I'm jumping up and down and I'm going to the ironing board and cutting and all like that. So I wanted to work on something where I could at least try to stay a little more in one place. So what are your plans for May? Do you keep track of your projects? Because I do. And at the end of every month, beginning of the month, I set a plan for what I hope to get done. I keep that list so that I can look at it in my daily journal and look at it every day if I need to, but it reminds me about the projects that I'm wanting to work on and wanting to get done, so that hopefully I make a little bit of progress on each one. And that works for me. So, do you have graduation projects that you need to do? Are you working on wedding quilts? Are you working on anything for the 250th anniversary of our country? Are you doing any projects for that? And my answers for though are no, 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 and no. I don't have any projects going on for any of those. My nephew is getting married later this year. I have not asked them yet if they want a quilt. They've already gotten quilts from me. So they've gotten a couple quilts from me. So I have not gotten around to asking them if they would like anything in particular. We'll see. I guess I need to get on that if I'm going to get them something for their wedding. So my list for May is to get this succulent garden quilt done, hopefully completely done. The top, finish piecing the top, the quilting and the binding. And my disappearing hourglass is another one that I would like to get those borders on. You can see the disappearing hourglass that my friend Sonia made. I think it's episode 16. It's my display quilt, my cover quilt for that episode. So if you're looking through the list of videos, you'd see a red and white quilt, and that's the one that I am duplicating for myself, because the one that I quilted for her went back to her family, of course. And so I wanted to make one for me. And so it's, like I said, I want to get the borders on that one. Now I think I'm going to be traveling some in May. So if I just get those two projects done in May and, keep working on my never ending little leader ender thing here and my string blocks, if I keep working on my string blocks, that's probably going to be about it. I have one little table runner project, but it's just a table runner, but I've put it aside because I had a decision to make, and I'm not ready to make that decision yet. So it's just waiting. I was trying to decide whether to set the blocks on point the way the pattern said to do them. And if I did, it would only be about this big, little tiny thing, which means I'd have to make twice the number of blocks if I wanted to make it a little bigger. Or I could not put them on point and I could make a little square thing about this big, or again, make more blocks. I don't know what I want to do yet. So I'll bring it out when I figure out what I want to do. So, all right, you do not keep track. Okay. Well, but you know what you're working on for the month, probably. I do have a spreadsheet, and I do have a list. Like, so this Kawandi piece is my 8th finish for 2026. So I know that much, but it's not that I think I'm going to make X number of quilts in a year. I will just make as many as I can make. But I do have ones that I really, really want to finish. And the mystery quilt was one that I had set aside for a month or so, and in order to finish some other things. And now I'm getting it done. So all things in their time. I should have pressed this strip better. This is giving me a fit here. Somehow I have a wrinkle right on the edge, like a fold line here. I was in such a hurry to do it that I didn't press that little crease out properly. Still have plenty of thread. This machine, I am sewing on a Bernina 153. So it's about maybe 25 years old or so. I've only owned it for about 3 years. I bought it used because I like the blue, and I like that you can kind of see through this. But it's an older style Bernina, and I really like it, but it does not tell me when I've run out of thread. So I was just peeking over to make sure I wasn't sewing with air here, because that would not be fun at all. I would not like that. So let's see. This one goes on this edge, I believe. I think that's the way I was going to do that. It doesn't matter as long as I do them all the same. So once again, if you are just joining me or didn't hear the first part of this project that I'm working on, I am sewing. This is probably the last strip set that I will need for Succulent Garden. It's a kit that I bought from Crimson Tate, which is in downtown Indianapolis. They have an online store and a brick and mortar store in downtown Indy. And I bought the kit at the Indiana Shop Hop last year, and this year's Shop Hop just started yesterday, so I feel pretty good about not letting that kit sit around for too long. And it is, when I get the strip sets made, if I get it made in time, get at least one of these strip sets done, I'll show you how I cut for these great big hexagons. This is half of one, and here is the other half. And you do not sew them together until you lay the whole quilt out, so that you can sew it into either columns or rows. It doesn't matter. Either way, you can sew columns or rows. And so this would get sewn to a different hexagon piece. Let's see if I can match that up here. So in this instance, Just looking for a pin. Can you believe I don't have my pin cushion? Oh, it's over there. Okay. No pin cushion. Can't get it. All right. So when you have it in columns or in rows, do you see this is where you would sew the angle together for the next hexagon? And they would be different. I only have 2 pieces here, so they're the same, but you would sew half to another half facing the other direction. And then again, you keep going down the column or the row. And that's as clear as mud, isn't it? So you do not sew it together until you get it all laid out. And then I will be, what I don't know, I haven't looked at the directions yet. Then I have some filler pieces to do at the top and the bottom. And when I get all of these, the layout just the way I want it, then I'll figure out the filler pieces. And there's enough fabric in the kit to do it. So this is Succulent Garden 2.0, which is their second version of the quilt. And I have another idea for this too, that I really want to do it scrappy. Because I know that I've seen it done as a scrappy, really scrappy quilt, like with strings. I've seen it done that way too. So 1 string quilt at a time. So I said I kept a list of my projects, and I probably have about 8 or 9 string quilts on my list of quilts that I want to make. I probably have just as many log cabin style quilts on my list that I want to make. I have several, let's say 9-patch, 4-patch types of quilts that I want to make. So it's a long list, and it's so easy to get distracted that's part of why I keep track of things, so that I can do better at finishing instead of starting and not finishing. So yeah, I used to be pretty bad at starting and not finishing, and now I'm much better at it. Much better at finishing what I start. And so the trick is to go back and try to finish the ones that didn't get finished when I started them 20 years ago. And try to use up some scraps and try to sew up the kits that I bought and the patterns and all of that. I'm in the club of more than enough for my lifetime, which is why I'm sharing my scraps, because I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with all of my stuff, and put it to use. Let it go somewhere else, and let it get out there in the world. So we got a few minutes left today. So I've told you about my plans for May. I think I will be in town to do a live stream in June, at the beginning of June. I'm not sure, but when I know, I will post it. But my plan is usually to have a live stream on the first Saturday of the month, and be able to catch up with everybody then. My next episode, hopefully by next weekend, I got to do some work on that. And if I can't do a full episode, I might do a shorter episode. Does that work for you all? Tell me. I usually, when I do an episode, I like for it to be nearly, 50 minutes to an hour. I don't usually do shorter ones. My last bonus episode was shorter, which is why I just called it a bonus episode. So do you all have any preferences on whether you like it when you sit down to watch something on YouTube? Are you looking for or wanting something that's going to be like a movie length, or just something really, really short? Because I'm usually making things, like I said, up to an hour, somewhere close to an hour, in order to share all that I've been working on. But I should have another episode coming out in another week or so. Like I said, my time is a little short now with having my mother with us. It does take a little bit of time away from me, from doing my other things. And by the end of the month, we will be into Memorial Day, and cross our fingers, summer will be here before we know it. So I hope you have vacation plans. I hope you have a chance to get away or relax and take some time for yourself. I hope you get to do that. Like I said, I am retired, and this is what I've chosen to do in my retirement, is to have this little corner of YouTube for myself and to share all my projects. So in the last episode, I also asked about rulers that you have never used or don't know how to use. And I do have a short list of rulers that people have mentioned. And that's also on my list of things to work out, to do, to see if I can find out some information and on how to use some of those rulers, and maybe have a little bit of a challenge for using or doing at least a small project with that ruler, so that you can at least find out whether you like it or not, whether you like to use it or not, whether you need to keep it or not. If you try it and you think and you realize that you don't like it and it doesn't give you the results that you want, then you would be free to sell it or pass it on, or donate it, get it out of your space. If you have too much stuff, then it would let you clear something out. And I have a whole tub of rulers, of templates and things like that, also on my list of things to try. So yeah, see, okay, so the Scrappy Bee, are you cross stitching now? That would be awesome. And that's kind of what I figure, is that I would like people to be able to sit and relax and do something, sew or have some time to sew while they watch an episode. Same with the live streams. You can watch the live streams later. And if you don't get to watch all of it now, you can pick back up again and watch it later. You know, what we do is pretty solitary. And so, oh, good, good. Uh, so, Michelle, do you also do any videos on YouTube? And are you still accepting new clients for your long arm business? Because I'd be happy to give you a shout out if you want, or if you're looking for more people to bring their quilts or send their quilts to you. I'm not really looking for new clients right now. I'm not actively looking for new people to quilt for. I would certainly add somebody if it came up, but I'm not really advertising or doing that. I have a few. I still have a few projects in my queue, so I'm not really looking for any more. And like I said, I know that my time is a little bit limited these days. And so I keep a pretty short list of quilts that need to be done for other people. But I would love to share, and I'd be happy to share pictures of anything that you are working on. I just think it's fun. And so if you have anything that you would like to do as a share as a show and tell, and you send me a photograph of your quilt, try to get it really as well lit as you can so that we can see it really well. A detail shot if you can, just so that we can enjoy it more. But if you do have something like that that you want to share, send me a photo, email it to me, and I can put it into an upcoming episode. So I'd love to do that, and I'd love to see it, especially the one with the 2-inch squares. I'd like to see that. Oh, okay. Yeah, you're in. All right, you're not. Yeah, yeah. So okay, yeah. I used to be like 8 to 10 weeks out or more, and now like I said, I just do a few, just keep a few, try to be able to turn them around in about a month or less, and and that keeps me busy enough with the other things that I'm doing. So but good to know. And like I said, I'm always happy to give a shout out to any of you who are working on building a business or building your YouTube state channel. That's the word. So, well, we are just about done for today. Here is my strip set. And when I get this pressed, I'm just going to show you. I'm not going to be able to cut it because it's not pressed yet, but I will place, let's see, let me just do this. Just got half a minute here. So move this out of the way. So as good as I can show you right now, this is pretty awful, isn't it? So I will place this template line it up on the edge of the fabric, and I will cut out my triangle. And then for the next triangle, I will flip it so that the next hexagon will have its widest strip out here. And then I will flip it again and go down my strip set, and I will get two big triangles with the blue on the outside, and I will get two triangles with the pink on the outside. And I'll do that with each of my three strip sets. And that will give me 6 triangles, which is enough for one hexagon with the blue on the outside and one hexagon with the pink on the outside. So join me next time. Hopefully we'll be back in June. Look for my next episode, which I hope will come out within the next week to 10 days. And maybe I'll have some more progress on this project. You got the first peek at my mystery quilt and my Kawandi. You are the first ones to see those done, and I will be sharing those again on my next episode, plus whatever else I've got down in the queue there. So until next time, thank you so much for joining me. I'm really glad to have you chatting here with me. It's been really fun. And I hope I've been able to keep you company while you get something done. Hope the weather is gorgeous in Reno and elsewhere. Hopefully, I bet it's not too hot right now in Reno. I bet you've got some pretty good weather this time of year. So I hope you get out there, go to a farmer's market, which is where I might be headed soon, and enjoy some activities that are starting up again in the spring. So bye-bye for now, and thanks for being here. I'm Stephanie, the Everyday Sewist. Bye-bye.